Climate Summit in London. What are the three things that cities can do better to meet the climate challenges? Is transition to renewable energy on the agenda? Is it the pension fund that should invest more in municipalities? Is it the power of plant that makes cities greener and reduce the impact on climate change? Listen to the voices from London today.
So the three things I would say is, one, make sure that you consult your communities and bring them along in the challenge that we have to tackle climate change. But the real, the three things I would focus on are retrofitting our buildings, cleaning up our transportation, and mobilising the green finance that we need to support the delivery of those actions.
Cities have a critical role in tackling the climate emergency, but also tackling the air quality emergency that we have. Many cities across the world are taking ambitious and urgent action. I think setting targets so that action can be achieved as quickly as possible, supporting a long-term funding pipeline so that schemes can be delivered, and thirdly, having those partnerships in place with the residents and the people that are served by the people that are running the city, but also the people that are delivering stuff, coming up with new solutions, but also with the people of the city. So partnerships, funding, and policies.
The three things I would say is, the first one is definitely around scalability. So we have to have projects that we can get pension funds interested in and get them involved in, and that has to be about cities working more closely together to bring opportunities to the pension fund table that says these are the things that we would like to see you involved in. I think the second thing they have to do is to remove some of the challenges and the barriers that there are around working with local governments. Sometimes some of the procurement rules that are in place, I think, need to be revisited in terms of doing business with cities more acceptable and more understandable. And I think the third thing is about communication. I think there has to be more clearer understanding about the benefits and returns, not just to the citizens of a city, but what are the benefits and returns to the investors and to the pensioners within Strathclyde and other pension funds, so that they are able to understand that there's a clear opportunity there for a win-win situation where you have a gain in terms of an improvement to the city being funded from a future pensioners' pension fund, as long as we are protecting the pension fund and making sure that it's always still able to pay the pensions when that time comes round.
Three things that cities can do better to meet the climate challenge. Recognise the power of nature, the power of plants in providing solutions. Integrate natural solutions with engineered solutions, and consider that the impact and the influence of their city goes beyond their city boundaries. We showcase this in the AIPH World Green City Awards, where we celebrate the bold and innovative action of city leaders and their teams in bringing solutions to cities around the world. The power of plants in action.
Clean Energy Cities framework, we make three suggestions. One, how do you change the urban structure of the place? Because there's something that's inherently resilient about having different land uses close to each other that have different energy profiles. Because local generation and storage will work better in that way. Two, investment. You need to get building owners and those who own the streets and spaces to really invest in these technologies to make them work. Work with national governments on tax breaks, de-risk it for them. Three, engage your consumers. We're an energy supplier. We know the consumers really well, and we know that all these assets that you build out in renewable energy, they'll be stranded. They won't work unless consumers actually engage them and use the automation and flexibility that really are promised in a future where we've decarbonized decentralized and digitalized our energy system.
The three things I think cities could arguably do better when battling climate change. I think what we're seeing is this refocus yet again on citizens and people. They're the ones who are living this every day. It's their right to live, work and enjoy the spaces that we're trying to improve. I think since the pandemic we've seen a reshift and a refocusing on equity, on inclusivity, and that's really helping to put them back in focus. The second thing is, and probably the most obvious thing, is finance. There's a huge funding gap for climate action, and what we always say is the cities are on the front line of this challenge, and with coordinated action they're the ones who can make a real difference, because the majority of the population, and that's a number that's only growing, are living and working in cities. So that finance element is going to be absolutely critical. It's about trying to find new ways of working with private finance, encouraging further funding from central, regional government as well, and a bit of a reassessment probably about what ROI really looks like for private investors in cities, because it's not going to be what they're used to, and there's going to be a refocusing of the lens there. So of course it's incumbent on cities to try and provide that ROI, but it's not going to be the same sort of thing that they would get from any other investment. So there needs to be a realignment of those expectations. And thirdly is the need for collaboration. There are some great examples both here at the summit today on our own online program as well, about how people are collaborating, how they're connecting, getting ingratiated with city networks, their neighbour cities, with regional, national government